Morning. For those who don't know me, and there's a recording of this, so as folks jump in, you'll be able to catch up. But for those who don't know me or haven't met me yet, my name is Sam Moody. I'm the Associate Director of the Colorado Media Project, which is a pooled fund supporting local news and civic information here in Colorado. And we are so pleased to be gathering y'all as members of this year's News Colorado Needs campaign. This today's meeting is a workshop focused on the campaign collateral materials, customizable images, email newsletter, social media templates, and customizable copy that we've worked with our incredibly talented friend over here at Barefoot Media, who I'll introduce in just a moment, to design for all of you. But where I want to start is with a quick demo of the campaign page that we've built. This is going to be the sort of central hub for, let me just drop this into an incognito page so it stops showing me the editing backside, and share my screen. This is the central page that, if this is loading or loading slowly, and I'll drop this link in the chat as well. This is the central page for the News Colorado Needs campaign. This is the page that the Colorado Media Project is going to be promoting. And I'm learning that on my current internet, oh, here we go. Now images are actually loading. Believe me, it is a little bit more complete than that first screen implied. This is the page where you'll see sort of the messaging around the main campaign.
We landed in a very expensive on a car water.
Somebody might be on a plane. And most importantly, where all of your newsroom's fundraising pages are going to be linked here in this, find your local newsroom. So all of Colorado Gives 600,000 donors will, as they become aware of CMP's main page, this is how they'll have the opportunity to click in, search by their town, their region, their county, the name of the paper or outlet they're looking for, find your campaign page and donate directly to you. You'll see here, we also have, a little bit in these expand out, some messaging and sort of background on what News Colorado Needs is, the general sort of context, needs, and importance of local news here in Colorado, the history of the campaign, over $2.8 million raised, and some frequently asked questions. I'll point your attention here to these as good places to go for your own questions about what kinds of contributions are eligible to meet Colorado Media Project's News Colorado Needs Matching Grant. Those details are here on the page. Other newsroom resources I'll point you to, the campaign toolkit that Laura and Nadia from Barefoot are going to walk us through is linked here, as is a link to the Colorado Gives Foundation's Colorado Gives Day whole nonprofit toolkit, which is a much more expansive and less customized array of tools that you might find useful for this or future fundraisers. And then, of course, there's our supporters. So that's just a quick demo of this site. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, but I wanted to make sure you are all aware of what that looks like, where it's at, and what it's going to be used for. But now let's get into the most practical and useful piece of this. And that starts with me introducing Laura Schrinkendorf and Nadia Rendon from Barefoot Media, who are going to walk us through this really fantastic set of campaign materials and templates that they've designed for us that are going to make, especially for those of you for whom this might be your first or only second or third year-end fundraising campaign that you're designing. It's going to make that a lot easier for you. So Laura and Nadia, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Sam. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you again. We did a walkthrough similar to this a couple of months ago, so we may be familiar faces. I'm joined by my colleague Nadia, and we have been developing all of the resources and content and graphics that you will need for your year-end giving. It's coming up right around the corner. Sam, the site, so really good job on that. Everything that we will be going through today is really designed to help drive traffic back to your individual giving page on that Colorado Gives site. So we are going to go through the toolkit. There's a lot of materials for you, but I just want to preface this and say everything is super customizable and not everything may be exactly what you need, but we encourage you to take this as kind of a starting point and modify it how it works best for communicating with your audiences and your communities. So let me go ahead and share. If you haven't received the toolkit link yet, once you do, you will be taken to a Google Drive folder that looks something like this, the News CO Needs 2024 Toolkit. And in here will be kind of the hub of all supplementing information for the tool, for the campaign. So we've organized it into a few different documents, as well as included a folder of Illustrator files. But I wanted to start at number 1, the start here. This is really where we're going to get an overview of the 2024 toolkit and campaign. And on this page, we've linked to different jump links throughout the document so that you can just get to what you need quickly. I wanted to start with our theme for this year. So in 2024, the theme for this giving campaign is Your News, Your Voice. And what this is really representative of is showcasing the impact of your work and the value of your newsroom and your stories that you're sharing for your local communities. So really highlighting how the impact of independent local journalism helps your community members stay informed. You'll see some supporting taglines and really those calls to action for investing in stories that matter or investing in community-powered journalism or in your local news. So we encourage you to use those taglines and pair them with a call to action, such as donate today or give now, or even support us this giving season. So there's a lot of ways you can kind of mix and match what you're sharing, and it helps to keep the message fresh while also still having that common thread throughout all of your communications. In this overview document, we also have a high-level overview of a campaign roadmap, which is essentially just a timeline with suggested dates for sharing information. We'll go through some email pitches and social media copy. We've created sample language for the whole campaign that you can customize. Throughout, you'll also see some tips and tricks and just reminders, right? Like if this is your first fundraising campaign or year-end campaign, or you're working alongside someone new to your newsroom who may just need some extra guidance, we hope these tips and tricks are really helpful for them. Design assets, of course, with every great piece of content, you need something visual. So we have a whole slew of those to share with you. Sorry, just checking on the chat real quick. And then some final tips. So remembering to do some goal setting, that's super helpful at the outset of any campaign, just so you can not only keep yourself organized internally, but also share that goal more publicly with your community and help use that to inspire giving, to inspire people to help you reach that goal. And it's a great way to keep people updated on campaign progress throughout the promotion. So starting with this document is great to just see what it's all included in this toolkit and what you have access to. So the second document in this toolkit is that campaign roadmap that I mentioned. This is a high-level timeline with suggested dates when you can start communicating about the campaign and start your fundraising efforts. Really, right now through the end of November is your time to prepare for the campaign launch. Take a read through all of these materials, start to get set up, maybe start drafting some emails and social copy, getting that scheduled, customizing it to really reflect the stories that you want to highlight for your community and for your giving campaign. And then things kick off early December. So Giving Tuesday this year is December 3rd, and it's also Giving News Day. So kind of taking over that day to focus on giving to local newsrooms. You'll see that each date is accompanied by an email and social media post, along with a recommended tip for how to get this message out. And each week throughout the month of December has its accompanying content. So email and social for each week. After a few weeks of sharing your message, it could be nice to maybe reevaluate, see how things are going, perhaps give your audiences a little break, take a little pause, put some thinking towards what you want to do for the rest of the campaign. You can also, at this mid-campaign point, towards the end of December, it's also a good time to maybe start thinking about some of that personal outreach or more targeted outreach that you may want to do. And we've created some sample pitches in case you're like, oh, we've been doing this prescribed email for a few weeks. Let's switch it up. We want to personalize our ask a little bit more. So we're giving you some tools and prompts for you to create your own pitch. And then after that mid-campaign is really reminding your communities that, and your donors, your supporters, your readers, your news consumers that, hey, it's the end of the year. We're coming up on this big milestone. This is one of your last chances to give and really contribute to our newsroom this year. After the campaign is wrapped, it's super important to share out a thank you after all of this. And really give acknowledgement to everyone who helped you contribute, share out on your goals, how much did you reach? And it could also be a really good opportunity for you to share what's coming up in 2025 and the months ahead, and any other initiatives that you want this captive audience to be aware of. So we have that campaign roadmap here. If this is something that you're like, this is a great start, but we have a different timeline of touch points that we want to use, feel free to make a copy of this timeline and adjust the dates or the sequence of communications as needed. So we have this little tip down here. All right, now that we know the timing of the campaign, we're going to go over to number 3, which is the third document, which is a handful of sample email content. I will turn it over to Nadia to walk through these next 2 sections.
So we've prepared a series of sample email language, both in English and in Spanish, that you can send to your network throughout different touch points this giving season in accordance to that communications roadmap. And these sample emails speak to the impact of local newsrooms and stories, particularly how they help inspire conversations, teach communities new things, and provide residents with the information that they need. As Laura mentioned, they are both easy to use and easy to customize to give your outreach a more personal touch. And as she also mentioned, you do have the option of writing your own emails from scratch. And to help guide that process, we've included some prompts that can help get you started. So in the screen, what we can see right now is, it has the send date, it has recommended send times, what audience segment you should send it to. In terms of sender, we have some suggestions there, but also feel free to customize. And then we just have preview text subject and the body copy. The fields in red are where you can customize things a little bit more, but that's just the general layout of the sample copy that we have provided. If we go all the way to the bottom, So yeah, we have the language in English and in Spanish, and all the way in the bottom, we have the prompts that, there they go. So they're just like general ideas or themes that you could use as well. And then some best practices for the email prompts. In terms of best practices in general, we recommend the following. First of all, including a visual component in your email. Since we're talking about local newsrooms and local reporters, it could be powerful to include pictures of journalists in action or pictures of an impactful story that y'all have published. In terms of this, we do recommend to not link out to these stories because we do want to create a direct path to action, in this case, a donation. So we want to keep it simple, just include a link for donation. But in addition to that, we also recommend including a button to make it easier and more visually appealing
I'm
for the
thinking Max
audience
Scott.
to donate. To donate. In the email templates, Laura, if you could scroll a little bit higher to maybe email 2 potentially.
Sorry, lots of scrolling. We've got a lot of words on the page.
Can you scroll a little bit further down?
Sure.
There we go. So there in bold, we suggest in certain emails where you can put that donate or contribute button, but that is also something that is up to your discretion and what you think would work best for your specific audiences. And then we just further recommend personalizing your appeal through the email sender, particularly listing your publisher as a sender and including their headshot and their signature. And leading into the next document, we do have accompanying social media posts for each email touch point, which we will show you right now. So for each email, we do have copy for Instagram and X, but this is also modifiable for any other platform that you are on. And in terms of best practices, we do recommend adding that same visual component. And in the toolkit, we have some graphic templates that are also customizable, but a high quality picture will also do. And we want to emphasize that obviously, like Instagram being a visual platform, this is where this would be most important to do.
Yeah, thanks, Nadia. A couple things I wanted to add. You know, a lot of the ways to personalize is talking about some of those super impactful stories that have influenced people in your community or help them find new information or really guided them towards answers, or, you know, just showcase something great that happened in your community. And while linking to that story is a great way to kind of get more eyes on that, think about kind of the end goal of these emails, and it's really to drive people to your donation page on that Colorado Gives 365 site. So if you want to talk about a story, think about a creative way to maybe get a snapshot or a screenshot of a paragraph of the article and incorporate that into your email, or like Nadia mentioned, sharing a photo that was taken from that story. So there are some creative ways to kind of showcase a story in a really short format without encouraging someone to leave the email and go to a site and then potentially get distracted as they're reading the story. So yeah, hopefully this email and social copy is helpful for you. We wanted to make it as customizable as possible and really give you a solid head start on figuring out, you know, what we want to say and when we want to say it. Moving over to the design assets, let me scroll up just a bit. So all of these content pieces need a visual component. So we have designed a whole slew of different style graphics in Canva. So they are Canva templates that each of you will have access to and can customize to really make it your own. Canva is super easy to use. If you don't have Canva, that's totally fine. We also have Illustrator files. in case you have someone on your team who is well versed in that platform and has strong design and editing skills. We tried to include some best practices and tips for using Canva, as well as a link to apply for it if you don't have access to that already. I think a lot of nonprofits can get a complimentary pro account, but definitely double check and look into that. So with Canva, what you'll find in there is a series of digital ads. So things that you can run on your newsroom site in multiple sizes. We have some email headers that you can plug into your email newsletter platform. We also have a handful of social media posts, including cover photos, and just graphic posts, standard graphic posts. And we also have this cohort footer included here. So I wanted to click on one of these just to show you what it will look like once you're in Canva. So when you click on that link, you'll see it's a shared template. And what you'll want to do is edit the template. And then once you click that, it will take you to the Canva dashboard where you can see all of the different digital ads. And these elements are customizable. But really what we want you to focus on is changing up the photo that you're using and your newsroom logo. So you can just replace these logos in the template and these photos with ones that are relevant to your newsroom. So you'll see for here, we pulled a photo from a story from the Aspen Times, and we put the logo here in the bottom right corner. And what we're doing with this graphic, we want to pair this graphic with an email or a social post that highlights what was happening in this story, right? Like without a lot of context, you're like, I don't really know what this photo means. But through the email and social, it's a great opportunity to expand on, oh, this community was influenced by this gardening project. They were able to do this. I'm just making that up, but you can kind of share the impact and the story behind this photo. So we also have these graphics in Spanish as well, and just some other examples of the ads. So these digital ads are going to be very similar to what you'll see in like the email headers and social posts. Everything will have the same look and feel. So that's why we created this template so that there's consistency across the board. And also offers the flexibility to really personalize and make it your own. All right, so those are the 5 Google documents that have everything you'll need. And as I mentioned, there's a handful of Illustrator files, so you'll be able to access everything that you just saw in Canva in this folder as well. All right. Sam, is there anything you want us to go back to or expand upon a little bit more?
I think maybe now we can just pause for any questions specific to those templates, campaign materials, that any of our participants might have.
Cool. Take a look at the chat, see if anything came up in there. Okay.
And I'm not seeing any hands leap up immediately. So while folks are thinking about questions, I'll touch on a few sort of high level strategy things to think about as you're developing your campaign. Oh, Melanie, those Illustrator files, there is a folder labeled Illustrator files right there in the toolkit. There you go.
Yes, so everything will be in that folder for you. And if you're having any complications with accessing something in Canva, please let us know. I think we worked out all the bugs, but if something's not working, we want to know for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, both as you're thinking about customizing these, email, newsletter, social media, print, digital ad, public, campaign messages, really core things to think through, especially for newsrooms that are new to this, are the thing that's going to bring in donations is not the need of your newsroom, but it's what you do for your community. So a campaign message that is all about the value you've provided to your community and how you're going to continue to do that is going to be really successful. A campaign about saving your newsroom, a campaign about, what it will enable your newsroom to do in terms of hiring staff, achieving financial stability. These are really important things. You and I love these things and are deeply committed to these things. They're not strong messages for your audience. So really remember to think about who you're talking to and who you're trying to raise money from, and talk to them about the value your newsroom has for them and their community. My favorite thing about the News Colorado Needs campaign is how innovative and creative all of you get. So I will point you to that, like CMP's page. You can go to that search box and look at what other newsrooms across the state are doing, what they're saying, how they're presenting their messaging. I insist everybody who's doing this, look at least 3 other newsrooms, try and pick, a big statewide one, somebody else in your community, and somebody, some other newsroom that feels like it's about your size, and maybe one that's totally different from you. Just glance at how they're doing their messaging. You'll be inspired. You'll get ideas. I've already been looking through a lot of these pages so far this morning, and I'm seeing folks who have testimonials from their readers about why they've, answering questions like why they value their newsroom, why it's important to them, like what their favorite or most important story from that year was. These are great ways to show a potential donor why other people in their community value and support you. So absolutely, you're all here in this cohort to raise money together for local news in Colorado. Absolutely copy each other, absolutely steal the approaches, the strategies. That's the purpose of this campaign, and we're all in this together. So feel no shyness about looking at what other people are doing and bringing that same excellent messaging to your community.
Yeah.
The last thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just had a thought, something we're experimenting with language-wise, and something that you all might want to try. When it comes to calls to action of like, do this, donate, sometimes there is more power in aligning the call to action with how people view themselves and their identity, right? So tapping into kind of that hometown pride and thinking about maybe tweaking your call to action to something like be a supporter of your community, be a donor, right? People love to take action based on the identity that they have perceived. So you can also tap into that kind of sense of pride for one's hometown and being an integral part of its success. So I just wanted to mention that as a way to maybe play around with some of these calls to action. If you're feeling like you're not getting a lot of traction, really calling people in to feel and to be a part of making their local newsroom great and strong and continuing to develop stories that help not only them, but other community members. All right, back to you, Sam.
Absolutely. And here I will pause again. Any questions about the campaign materials or the News Colorado Needs campaign more generally?
Yeah, it looks like we have a question about tapping into the angst. I think that has been a topic of discussion for sure. And we want to encourage you to stay more positive and focused on kind of the assets that you have as a newsroom and how you are bringing value to your community, versus leaning into the angst that you mentioned, right? Or some of that fear that will absolutely come up I'm sure in the coming months. But for right now, really leaning positive and bringing people together around kind of the shared value that journalism.
Yeah, strong agreement there. Again, I think the thing to remember is that you're like, as a local newsroom, um, let's be realistic about what you might be able to promise your community you can do about uh, angst about national politics. And let's remember how important it is in that context for them, things like connection to your community, understanding each other. You'll see all this language really highlighted in CMP's main campaign page. We talk about the value of local news generally in terms of like it increases turnout in elections. That's an important thing. It helps communities connect with each other and understand each other in contrast to divisive national political news or algorithm driven news that sorts us into buckets. Those if you're sensing so much angst in your community that you feel obliged to address it in those terms about what you do as a local newsroom in a community, and it's about connecting and it's about informing. I would not lean into fear in the same way that a message around saving a newsroom is not going to be as compelling to a donor as investing in a well-informed community that knows itself and can have access to the information it needs. Yeah, I would not recommend a fundraising campaign based on fear and angst. This is an opportunity for you to be a break from that, if we're being completely honest.
For sure. One other thing is, thinking about this theme of your news, your voice, right? Like the local news is informed and shaped by its own community, right? So maybe you want to talk about how your team of journalists is based in your local community. You are a part of it. You are going to the same grocery stores. You're driving down the same roads. You are going to the same places and spaces as the community, right? So maybe leaning into kind of that idea of the journalists here at our newsroom are a part of this community and care about it just as much as you do.
Yeah, very well said. Any other questions, thoughts? Group.
Sam, have you already sent this link out? Oh, you did it in the chat. Just kidding.
Yes, I've dropped it in the
Okay,
chat, and,
great.
yeah, everyone in the cohort has. I put together a introduction and welcome onboarding document, which has links to everything you could need
Perfect.
to participate in this campaign. Those links are in the chat again. I'll be sending out a recording of this call to everybody in the cohort as well, so folks can review that. If we don't have any more questions, happy to keep this short and efficient. I will end on a reminder of the goals of the CMP's matching grant, and just like top tier thing to keep in mind when you are fundraising, and like really what the purpose of a matching grant is, especially for newsrooms that are new to this. In past years of the News Colorado Needs campaign, always encountered newsrooms who really set their goal for their participation in this campaign at CMP gave me a $5,000 grant, so I need to raise $5,000. That is, if that's your approach, you're putting such a hard limit on what your community can do for you, what your newsroom can raise, what you can get out of the real time and energy that you invest in this campaign. So for folks on the call, and really for the recording and everybody else, I cannot hammer this message home enough. Do not limit your campaign to the $5,000 match that you might be receiving from the Colorado Media Project. That is intended as a spark, as a seed, as an incentive for your community to raise more. And really, the purpose of using the Colorado Gives platform is it gives you a tool that you can use whenever you want to fundraise from your community. Fundraising twice a year from your community is like baseline normal for pretty much any nonprofit organization. Here in Colorado, amongst our newsroom cohort, we do it once a year. I would love to see newsrooms doing it at least twice a year. So 6 months from now in the spring, reusing some of these campaign materials, updating them for how your community has changed since then, using the Colorado Gives platform and running a new campaign. Again, the matching grant from CMP is a small spark to connect you with this broader array of donors, build the muscle memory in your organization on how to go about raising funds from your community. And our goal for this campaign is to raise $1 million for local news. Let me tell you, we're only putting 175,000. So if that gets matched dollar for dollar, we'll get nowhere near that goal. And there's no reason for us to limit ourselves to that. So really encouraging everybody to think big, ask big. For Christy, we've got a question about haven't heard anything about print since we are a newspaper. Yeah, absolutely. Deploying print ads is a great way to reach your readers right where they read you. My recommendation is to use QR codes to point to the Colorado Gives fundraising page.
Haven't heard anything. Oh, there he is. You're back. You had
Oh no, had I frozen for a while?
You froze for a little bit.
Oh no.
We lost you at Think Big, Act Big.
Beautiful. Oh, that timing was perfect. What got cut then was my answer to Christy's question about print. Yeah, absolutely use print ad placements to and QR codes. Thank you, pandemic, are a really well used way to point people from a physical space to a digital space. So using those to point people to your Colorado Gives fundraising page is a great tactic. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can resize these graphics too to fit your dimensions for print paper. So please do that and modify them as you need. But anything in Canva, just make sure you edit the template or edit as a template instead of going in, and I don't think you will be able to like change the original, so there won't be any discrepancies, but just make a copy of anything so that you don't change the original one. But yes, resize and share wide.
Fantastic. And as you are going through navigating, editing these things, if you are accessing any of those materials and something seems wrong, or it seems like it has been like the original has accidentally been edited, please flag me and I'll connect with Laura and her team and make sure we get an original back in there.
Good luck, everyone. We're rooting for you. We love local news. So keep up the amazing work.
So excited for this year. Thank you all so much for your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at sam@coloradomediaproject.com. Take care, everyone.
Bye.